جامعة أفريقيا للعلوم الإنسانية والتطبيقية. Africa University for Humanities and Applied Linguistics, English Department, EN 218, Phonology, Winter 20. سميرة محمد, Master of Phonology, Faculty of Languages, Tripoli University. Course information. Course title, Phonology. Credits 2. Hours 2. Prerequisite EN 218, Introduction to Linguistics. Lecturer's name, Miss Sumira. Course description. This course provides a general background of the theory of phonology. These theories, which include such as behaviorism theory and cognitive theory, help students to explain some phenomena for acquiring a language, such as the difference between a phoneme and an allophone. Phonemic theory and generative theory, or linear phonology or linear theory, which mean the same, are introduced to guide students to recognize how speech is produced and what happens when sounds occur in a particular grammatical or phonetic context. Course objectives. Number 1, to help the students understand the linguistic use of phonology. Number 2, to enable the students to understand and exercise phonological theory. Number 3, to encourage the students to take charge of their own learning of phonological issues. The learning outcomes. Number 1, students identify sound combinations. 2, students learn English syllable structures. 3, students recognize reasons behind the prohibition of certain consonant clusters in English. Number 4, students acknowledge certain phonological processes in English. Course material. Number 1, the content of the course will be presented in the following lectures. Number 2, there is also a supplementary material in case you want to learn more about the topics in this. Here we have the supplementary material. Here we have a list of 3 books which you can read more about phonology. The first book, the title, The Pronunciation of English, a course book by Charles W. The second book, English Phonetics and Phonology, a practical course by Peter. The third book is A Course in Phonology by Iggy Roca and Wayne Johnson. The course evaluation. Number 1, the mid-exam, 30%. Number 2, home assignments, 10%. Number 3, final exam, 60%. The course content. The course content. Week 1, Introduction to the Principle of Phonology. Week 2, Common Properties of Phonological Theory. Week 3, The Fundamental Concepts of Phonology. Week 4, Phonological and Phonemic Analysis. Week 5, Contrastive Distribution. Week 6, complementary distribution. Week 7, exercises on contrastive distribution. Week 8, the goals of phonology based on phonological theories. Week 9, the goals of phonology based on phonological theory. Week 10, phonological rules, part 1. Week 11, phonological rules, part 2. Week 12, phonological processes and constraints. Introduction to the principle of phonology. Levels of language. When people want to learn a foreign language, they have to learn different levels or different elements or factors of a language. They have to study phonetics and phonology, they have to study morphology, syntax, semantics, and pragmatics. Now let's get the meaning of these elements or levels. Phonetics and phonology, both of them describe to us the sound systems. The morphology studies the forms and the words relating to the grammar of the language. The syntax studies clauses and sentences, and the clause means part of a sentence, more than a word but less than a sentence, and it always includes a verb. The semantics studies the meanings of various kinds, meanings of words, of course. Pragmatics studies the use of the language. Let's start with the definition of phonology. What's the meaning of phonology? Phonology is the component of linguistic knowledge concerned with rules, representations, and principles that govern the patterning of sounds. Sometimes it's called the grammar of sound. So you've already studied and learned the meaning of phonetics. Phonetics studies the sound system of all languages in general. When we study phonetics, we study vowels, consonants, manner of articulation and place of articulation, classification of vowels and consonants. But when we study the phonology, we study the sound system of a certain language. And when we study the phonology of a certain language, like the phonology of English, we study all the linguistic knowledge. It means the knowledge relating to the language, but specifically about the sound system of the language, which includes the vowels, the consonants, the syllables, the consonant clusters, and then the rules, how speech sounds are presented, and what are the constraints or the rules that are govern the sound system of a certain language. What are the principles of phonology? Let's find out. As I've told you, phonology is the study of the sound patterns and sound systems of languages. When we study the phonology of English, we study the forms of the sound systems of the language, which includes consonants, vowels, stress, syllables, consonant clusters, and also intonation. It aims to discover the principles that govern the way sounds are organized in languages and to explain the variations that occur. So first thing, the phonology theory helps us to learn the rules found in the language like English, which permit certain vowels and consonants, and it doesn't permit others in a word. In phonology, we normally begin by analyzing an individual language, say English, in order to determine the phonological structure. That is, which sounds units are used and how they are put together. So when we study the phonology of English, we learn about the exact phonological structure. It means how sounds are put together in words. Then we compare the properties of sound systems in different languages in order to make hypotheses about the rules that underlie the use of sounds in them. And ultimately, we aim to discover the rules that underlie the sound patterns of all languages. So after we study the phonology of English and we learn which sounds are permitted in words and which are not, then we can compare between, for example, the phonology of English and the phonology of Arabic and learn the two different structures of words, and we can also make rules for a group of languages or phonology of languages. For example, in English they have the consonant ka, and they also have the consonant na. But in English, when a word begins with the letter K and the letter N at the beginning, the letter K is not pronounced. So we have knife, we have knowledge, we have knee. You notice in the spelling of the word knife, we have K-N-I-F-E. But this K is not pronounced. So this is one rule of phonology in English.
The syllable. Before talking about the syllable, let's talk about something related to it. It's called the CV structure. A structure means the building or the form. CV, the C refers to consonants and V refers to vowels. So when we study the CV structure of a syllable or a word, it means we want to identify or find the consonants and the vowels in these words or syllables. For example, in the word I, we find only V, which means just a vowel. I is a vowel and T is a consonant. So the CV structure of this word is VC. The word T, we have the consonant T followed by the vowel E. So the CV structure is CV. The word 10, it starts with the consonant T followed by the vowel E and finally the consonant N. So we have consonant, vowel, consonant. It is a C, V, C. The word stand, it starts with two consonants, S and T, and then the vowel A, and also ends with two consonants, N and D. So its CV structure is CC, V, CC. The word prompt, it also begins with two consonants and ends with three consonants. And then we have prompts. It begins with two consonants and ends with two consonants. Now we come to the definition of the syllable. What do we mean by a syllable? A syllable is a unit of pronunciation. So it is related to speaking or pronunciation. And it is a unit, it means it is a group of things, not just one thing. It consists of parts. What are the parts of a syllable? One vowel, which means there is always a vowel, because if there is no vowel, there is no syllable. With or without surrounding consonants. With the vowel, sometimes we find consonants, sometimes we don't. Sometimes there are consonants before the vowel and after the vowel, sometimes only before the vowel, sometimes only after the vowel. Sometimes there are no consonants. It forms a whole word or part of it. Sometimes a syllable is a complete word, like the word book, like the word school, but sometimes in some words we find more than one syllable, 2 or 3 or more, like in the word phonetics, difficult, holiday, again, phonology, phonotactics. And now we come to the number of syllables in a word. Different words have different numbers of syllables. The first type is called monosyllabic words. In monosyllabic words, we find only one syllable, like the word cat, dog, eye, and thought. Another type, bisyllabic words. In this type of words, we find two syllables, as in the word hotel, enter, and shampoo. Trisyllabic words, words with 3 syllables. Examples, beautiful, expensive, consonant. When we read these words slowly, we could tell the number of the syllables. Beautiful, expensive, consonant. The final type, polysyllabic. When a word has more than 3 syllables, we stop counting them, we just say polysyllabic words, like the words phonotactics, unexceptional, comprehensibility. And then we look at the syllable structure. What do we find in a syllable? Or what does a syllable consist of? Or what do we call the parts of the syllable? The sign at the top is a sign refers to the syllable. So instead of saying syllable, we just put this sign, which is similar to a circle. And then we have, we always start with the nucleus. What do we find under the nucleus? The vowel, because it is the center of the syllable. And the syllable starts with a consonant. The consonant which comes before the vowel is called the onset. And the consonant situated after the nucleus is called the coda. And together the nucleus and the coda are called the rhyme. So the rhyme of the syllable consists of a nucleus and a coda. The CV syllable type. The syllable which consists of just one consonant and a vowel is described as, number one, universal. Universal because it exists in all the languages of the world. Number two, it is called core. Core because it is the basic type. All the other syllable types are derived from it. And it also appears in the early utterances of very young children. People who are specialized in phonetics, they've discovered that when children start to speak, they don't produce words, they just produce, and not just sounds, they produce syllables, which means a consonant with a vowel. So they start to say at the very early beginning, they say pa, 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 or ma, ma, ma. So what is ma? It is a consonant and followed by the vowel. So the CV structure is just CV, a consonant followed by a vowel. So the CV, we can call it universal, and we can also call it core. And here we have a simple practice. We have a number of words, and you have to tell. Here we have the onset, and then we have the nucleus, and then we have the coda. So if we look at the word O, it consists only of a vowel. So is there a nucleus? Is there a vowel? Yes, there is a vowel, so we just tick it. Is there a coda? No, there isn't a coda. So we just leave it out. And does it have an onset? No, it doesn't have an onset. The word 10, ta is a consonant, eh is a vowel, and na is another consonant. So the structure is CVC. And again, we look for the parts of the syllable in this word. Does it have a nucleus? Yes, it does. Does it have an onset? Yes, the consonant ta. Does it have a coda? Yes, it has a coda. It is the consonant na. So it has all the parts of the syllable. So you do the same thing with the rest of the words. And we explain the two words at the bottom of the slide, obligatory and optional. Obligatory, it means something which is always there. It's like a must. What parts are obligatory in the syllable? The nucleus, which means the vowel. It's always there. So the vowel is an obligatory part. And then other parts are optional. Sometimes they are there, sometimes they are not. The onset and the coda, which means the consonants, are optional. So the vowel is obligatory, but the consonants are optional. Another practice, give the CV structure for the following words. Let's start with the word O. The word O only has a vowel. Is it a monophthong or a diphthong? The vowel in this word O is a diphthong. So we don't just put V, it is VV, because O consists of two vowels. And then if we look at the word zoo, for example, it consists of the consonant za, so we put C, and a long vowel U, so we put V with two dots. The core syllable, it is the CV, of course. We've explained this. And beside the core syllable, there are basic syllables. What are they? the V when a syllable consists of just a vowel, or the CVC, it means a syllable which starts with a consonant followed by the vowel, and the vowel is also followed by one consonant. And then we have the VC. The VC is a consonant, is a syllable which starts with a vowel and ends with one consonant. So the basic syllables are the V, the CVC, and the VC. And notice that these three basic syllables types are derived from the CV. So if we want to get one of the basic syllables, we have to start with the CV. So how to create basic syllable types? First, deletion of the onset, which is the initial consonant. So we have the core syllable CV. So what do we do? We just delete the first consonant or the onset. So what is the result? What do we get? We get V. So we have CV, we delete the C, we get just V. This is basic syllable number 1, V. And then to get the basic syllable type number 2, the CVC, what do? Again, we start with the core syllable CV and we just add a consonant, a C. So CV plus C, we get CVC. And then to get the last basic syllable type, VC, again, we start with the core syllable CV. Number 1, we delete the C, we get the V, and then we add a C to the V, we get VC. And here we find other names which we use to call the syllable or the parts of the syllable. Zero onset. A zero onset syllable is a syllable which starts with a vowel. So it doesn't start with a consonant. So the first sound in this syllable is a vowel. It starts with a vowel, as in the words I, which has only V, earth, which has VC, out, VVC, and VCC, O, VV, and the other word, the verb, is also pronounced the same way, O, VV. And then we have the zero coda. Here, the opposite, a syllable which ends with a vowel. It doesn't end with a consonant. So the last sound in this syllable is a vowel, as in the examples my, me, who, by, fly, and stray. The open syllable. It is a syllable without a coda, so it's also means a zero coda, as in the words now, see, hey, go, sigh, and blue. The closed syllable. It is a syllable with a coda. So a closed syllable is a syllable which ends with a consonant. Sit, off, ate, at, and mat. And the last one is a simple syllable. What is a simple syllable? It is a syllable without a consonant cluster. It means it has only one consonant, just C. Man, tick, bill, book, and watch. Notice that when we are working with something relating to phonetics, we don't look at the spelling of the word. We just pronounce and listen to our pronunciation. So listen again. If you look at the second example, tick, it ends with two consonants, C and K. But in pronunciation, this syllable or word ends with one sound consonant K. It's tick. So what is the last sound in this word? It is one consonant K. And also in the word bell, it ends with double L, two L's. But when we pronounce it, it is just the consonant la. So it's just one C. And in the word watch, it ends with TCH, but in pronunciation, it's watch. It ends with cha. And in English, cha is an affricate, which means one consonant. And if you want to get the CV structure of this word, it is C, V, and C. Only one C. So we talked about simple syllables, and now we talk about complex syllable. What is a simple syllable? It has only one consonant. We don't find two or three consonants together in one word. But on the other hand, a complex syllable is a syllable with a consonant cluster. What is a consonant cluster? A consonant cluster is a group of consonants close together without a vowel between them. This made by adding consonants to the basic syllable type up to the extent permitted by the language. How do we make a complex syllable? We just add consonants to the basic syllable types. You remember the basic syllable types, the CVC, the V, or the VC. We just add consonants to them. But the number of consonants adds must be permitted by the language, because each language permit a certain number of consonants in a cluster. So the following examples are from English. In English, they permit two consonants at the beginning of the word. So CCV, as in the words try, pray, and clue. And CCC, three consonants, as in the words street, strong, and straight. CCVC, we have black, swing, and stop. In these three examples, the words end with one consonant. And then we have sphinx and sports. These two words, they start with two consonants and they end with three consonants. In the word sphinx, we have N and X, but the sounds is na, ka, and sa. And then we have next, tempt, and text. In these examples, the CV structure is CV, C, C, C. It means the three words end with three consonants. And then we have tempts and texts. When we add the S at the end of each word here, we will get not just three consonants, we get four consonants at the end. So tempts, we have ma, pa, ta, sa. Here there are four consonants. Text, we have ka, sa, ta, and another sa. Here we have a definition of a consonant cluster. It is a group of two or more consonants that come before or and after the vowel. The consonants, they are close together, and we may find them at the beginning of, before the vowel or after the vowel, or both before and after the vowel. and they are always in the same syllable. If we find two consonants in the middle of the word and each one of them belongs to a different syllable, then it's not a cluster. Like in the word contrast or contrast. Contrast. The na and the ta is not a consonant cluster. And then initial consonant clusters. Examples of consonant clusters which come at the beginning of the word: stop, pray, sky, spray, splendid, and squint. And then we have final consonant clusters, the clusters which exist at the end of the word: end, help, verb, prompt, and corpse. And we also find medial consonant clusters. These clusters occur in the middle of the word, as in the word depress, confront, napkin, secluded, increase.